says it's streaming live.
Okay, and we're just waiting to see. And we're live. Hello, everybody in McHenry County. I'm
Good
Heidi
morning.
Berardi with United Way of Greater McHenry County, and welcome to the next installment of our Lunch and Learn series. Today with us, we have a very special guest indeed. We'd like to welcome our Executive Director, Ms. Carol Peters, to the floor. Hi, Carol.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully it's noon now. I think it is. Oh, one more minute. So
one more minute. We're starting a little bit early, but we are so excited to tell everybody about the Alice Report and your journey about bringing this very important information to the county. So let's just kind of start things off by learning a little bit more about what exactly is the Alice Report and how did you become involved with it, Carol?
well, thanks for having me this morning. This is really great to be on the other side. Oftentimes I'm the facilitator or the presenter, so to be the guest and be able to answer some of the questions and be prompted is great. So let me step back and just share a little bit about the history of Alice. But first, let's talk about what is Alice? You know, like what does it stand for? And we shared this at our campaign kickoff the other night. Alice is not a new staff member or board member or someone that's just moved to the county. Alice stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed. And I'll give you, this isn't really a brief history, but I'll give you the history of Alice. So I joined the United Way in February of 2017. And every time I went to one of our conferences, I would hear about Alice. And I kind of was like, I don't even know what that is. And is it really important to know? And there were so many other topics to consider when going to these conferences that I just simply pushed the Alice sessions aside. But in February of 2019, a woman by the name of Ethne McMenamin, who serves our United Way of Illinois, was attending the Great Rivers Conference. And there she learned a bit about Alice, and a few of our United Way of Illinois members came to her and said, what would it take to get Alice, the Alice Report in Illinois? And she said, I don't know, that's something we should investigate. Well, then you turn the clock forward, and in April of 2019, she called me and asked, would you be interested in serving on the executive committee as our incoming board chair? Which
is amazing.
I know, this is like, there is a ripple effect here, folks. And so she asked me about it. It took me a little bit of time. First, I wanted to get confirmation from my husband and, you know, ask a few of our board members what they thought. But, you know, in my gut, I was saying, yes, this is the right thing to do and get involved with our state association in a bigger way. We had already been involved, but doing it at a higher level. And so I accepted the invitation to serve on the executive committee, did that for the past year. And now I'm serving as the United Way of Illinois board chair, which is truly a volunteer role. I'm not getting paid anything for it. I'm still in McHenry County by day and now virtually just involved with the United Way of Illinois until things lift here with COVID.
We're so super proud of you, and you're representing the county.
Thank you. And so if you don't know, the state of Illinois is made up of 102 counties. And that means that there may not be this many, but there could be 102 local United Ways across the state. And together in this network of the United Way of Illinois makes up the entire state and all of these local United Ways. And so we work together to, you know, achieve goals for the state level. And then we drill it down to our communities and then, you know, our communities where we live. So Alice, how does Alice play into all of this? So last fall, Ethne asked our executive committee if we would consider raising the money that was needed in order for this report to be generated. And Alice actually, there's a United for Alice site that you can go to if you're interested in really seeing how this movement has moved across the United Way network. And it's not just for United Ways. This report is designed to help people in all different sectors across the community and the state, in education, in government, municipalities, police, fire. I mean, you name it. This report can help a lot of different organizations, especially our nonprofits, as we're looking to say, where should we be serving? more people at a higher level or a different level. And so the decision by our executive committee was we're going to raise the money within our membership. We're going to see what we can do to get this accomplished. And it didn't take long. Many of the United Ways in our network simply said, we're going to make an investment in the community. We're going to invest in the report that will help us at the state level and at the community level. The money was raised. McHenry County invested, our United Way of Greater McHenry County Board of Directors voted last year to invest $3,000 in the report. And I can tell you, we have invested in that. Investment has paid off huge. And I'll tell you more about that as we wrap up today. So the report was released to our United Way of Illinois in January. It then was released publicly in Springfield on March 4th. Now, all of us know what happened in March, right? 6 months ago. I cannot believe this was 6.5 months ago. I drove to Springfield. I sat at the state capitol in the Blue Room with peers from the network. Next to me on one side was Kate Reed from the United Way of Iroquois County and Kankakee County. And on the other side was Sarah Oprazetic from United Way of Will County. And we were just smiling and beaming and excited to be in Springfield watching as this is unveiled. And the governor's office was involved with all of this. And there was this huge opportunity, right, to encourage people to learn more about the folks that are considered ALICE. And then March 13th, everything shut down, shelter in place. ALICE was kind of put on hold in McHenry County because we said we've got other work we have to focus on. And it wasn't until later or later in July that we actually unveiled this to the nonprofit agencies that fall under the United Way. And then today we're taking the launch with our county to say ALICE is here, and we really want to shine the light on the people that we call ALICE. So that's kind of the history. And at the end, I want to make sure, don't let me forget to share how this has paid off in such a big way with our state of Illinois relationship and the Illinois COVID Response Fund. So I'll stop there.
I think that is a perfect introduction to kind of share about the relevancy of us beginning to understand the people that we serve and the people that nonprofit organizations serve. So the ALICE population, with our mission to unite people with resources for a stronger McHenry County, it's critical for everybody to understand, especially if you're supporting the community through United Way, that not only do we serve people at critical points in their lives, but we should also identify people who may actually be close to perhaps struggling. So tell us a little bit more about who we should look at when we think of ALICE. Who is ALICE?
Mm-hmm. So thank you. That's a great question. So when I think of ALICE, I think of the people, let's think about COVID-19, right? And the people who are serving as essential workers. It could be a CNA at a hospital. It could be the janitorial service that's being provided in a school district or at those medical facilities. Those folks that we, oftentimes don't give a lot of credit to. We think, oh, they're just the people, the cleaning staff, but they're keeping these facilities safe and clean to prevent the disease from spreading, right? They may be at a salary level that's lower than the next person, right? And so when we think of childcare providers, there's a lot of childcare providers, preschool teachers, daycares that are paying people to care for our children. It could be the paraprofessionals in our school districts that are really working one-on-one as aides with the children. And this is such an important role, yet, they're making a limited type of income. And so the people that are falling below the low to moderate income level, that's not who we're talking about today. We're talking about people above that, right? 2-income household with 2 children, or it's a single parent with 1 or 2 children. And although they may be working and they have a car and they have a home and they appear as though they're doing everything right, they're literally 1 paycheck away from a disaster, right? Whether it's a medical bill or it's a car breaks down or an unexpected, crisis in their home, and they can't afford now to continue what they've been doing. So that's, hopefully that gives you a little insight or a little look in a lens into the who would be Alice.
Yes, and I think everybody's going to really want to know more about Alice as we progress throughout the year, especially during these times. I think many of us could identify that Alice, in the pandemic terms, could be an essential employee. And more than likely, they are caring for people in our lives, and they are doing very important jobs. So as my past role as a credit counselor, when I was working with folks, really that experience showed me that most of us are truly one event away from becoming Alice ourselves. It could be that job loss, it could be a medical concern, and savings can go away quickly. So for us to really become more aware of how we can support people, in this particular phase of their life, because many times it's not always every day, right?
Right.
So I think there's going to be a lot more discussion on this, and this is really just our introduction.
Right.
But can you share with us a little bit about how we've begun now to share this very important information with our nonprofit partner agencies in the community?
Mm-hmm. So we want Alice to bring value to the community. And the way that this report will help do that is the nonprofits receive the information because we believe that they're already serving in the communities across McHenry County. And some of them are maybe considering, or were prior to the pandemic, we're considering expanding, right? So Youth and Family Center of McHenry County may have thought about expanding in Harvard. Harvard is a high need community. There's a lot of Alice families in Harvard. These folks are working, 2-income households with multiple children, but they're still Alice, right? And so if they were thinking about that, they could use the Alice report to help them confirm what they believe to be true. There's also a lot of older adults. And I want to just say, when I say older adults, yes, I'm referring to senior citizens. According to Age Guide, who serves our older adults, they say it's appropriate these days to no longer call them senior citizens. It's older adults, and those are folks 60 and older. Well, if you think about someone, maybe it's a parent, it could be a grandparent. Maybe they were married and now they're suddenly divorced, or a spouse passes and they were making X number of dollars and suddenly the dollars have been diluted. And so now they are in a position where they really can't afford a car payment, or they can't afford their medical insurance because they're not on Medicare yet. So, that could be an example again as how people look at that report. So those nonprofits like Catholic Charities of Lake County, who serve the Meal on Wheels program here in McHenry County, serving our McHenry County residents, they're probably touching a lot of Alice families as they're delivering those meals. And maybe again, it's expansion into communities where they haven't been able to get to because they only have so much funding available. So then the value to the nonprofits, beyond knowing the information and having the confirmation of the details, would be they use the data to help them apply for grant funding, to expand the funding for their nonprofit or for that area, like the older adults. All those organizations that support the older adults could maybe benefit and together even seek funding for a grant for the county to help expand and help that population or those residents in that situation. And I just want to clarify that, Alice families, if provided tools and resources and education, can step up to the next level so that they don't dip back down, right? It may be an example, could be a 2-income household, and one of the people have an education, a college education, but the second person does not. And the second person, if they were able to invest in their education, right? And maybe go and get a certificate at the community college that would allow them to impact their career and then make a different choice, or even grow in their career choice. So going from a CNA to a nurse, from a nurse to a nurse practitioner, from a paraprofessional to a teacher, from a teacher to an administrator. You know, these are all ways that people can continue. And then, you know, I'm kind of going long-winded here, Heidi, but I know I was an Alice family for sure at 2 different times in my life. And I'm happy to share those examples if you think it would make sense.
I think that's a good way to close out, and for everyone to recognize too. So 1 in 4 people in the county are considered Alice. And it's so true that we all have these different chapters in our lives and can identify with periods of time where we could have been in this particular population. But again, really with the resources that we are bringing together, there's just so much promise. So thank you for sharing. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about your personal experience?
Sure. So the other night I shared about myself being a single mom with a 3-year-old, but this morning as I was thinking about this session and like, what has my life journey been like? And why am I so passionate about serving as the executive director of the United Way? And what really fuels me every day? You know, like what's my purpose and passion about this? And why is Alice getting me so fired up? And I love the tool. I love having facts and data because it helps us educate people, right, about the needs. So when I think back to early on, when I first was married to my first husband, and we found out we were pregnant with my son, and it was exciting. But I got to tell you, we were self-employed. We lived in northern Wisconsin. We had a very limited income because we owned a bar, restaurant, and resort. And it was a seasonal business, if you will. And when I went in to meet with the nurse and do my full, checkup and find out, yes, you're having a baby, she then encouraged me to see the social worker. And I was like, I don't need to see a social worker. I'm fine. And she said, no, there's a lot of support services in the county available for you. And I said, oh, no, I don't need any of that. I'm totally fine. And she said, well, we really encourage you to do that. Well, it was at that appointment that she shared with me that there were lots of resources available that could help us. And she said, you may be eligible for some additional support if you're willing to go through the process. Well, my husband and I were very resistant at the time. But after some conversation, we said, you know what? Let's just listen and learn and then find out what about the services. And if we're qualified, fine. If we're not, fine. It didn't matter. But that's when I learned about WIC, which stands for Women, Infant, and Children, and that we were eligible to receive some additional, food support. And, I didn't understand when I went to the grocery store and I saw the WIC label, what that meant, but I certainly do now. And because of our financial situation, we were eligible then for a program called, I think, like Baby First. And so our son would have received any type of medical care for like the first 8 months, maybe, or I'm sorry, the first 8 weeks, I think, after the delivery. Well, those were services that we were eligible for because of our income level. If we were just a step above that, we would have been Alice and they probably wouldn't have been. So, I didn't even think of myself as being in that situation. We were living a good life. Everything was fine and we were making ends meet. But we were an Alice family. So we were, at that time, and then I quickly learned, like, I'm so grateful for all the support and services we received at that time, even though we didn't need all of them. It was good to be informed. And I can tell you, I've drawn upon that over and over again when I've talked to people who I would meet who would say, oh, I don't think I qualify. Oh, you don't have to qualify. That's the beauty of the United Way and the funding that we make available in McHenry County is the dollars we invest in the community are really contributed by the community, raised by the community, and reinvested in the community with the help of the community. And all of that just means that there's support services for people out there and you don't have to qualify. You don't have to financially. So if you're an Alice family and you need support, maybe you've recently lost a job and you don't have medical insurance, you can go to Family Health Partnership Clinic and get medical care and not skip a medical appointment because you say, I don't have insurance. Or you can seek out consumer credit counseling to get some financial counseling to figure out how can you, consolidate some of the debt that you may have to make it easier on yourself until you find the next opportunity. So
absolutely. And I think one of the best kept secrets out there is if you've reached out before or somebody who has with little success, that key question is, okay, if you can't assist me, do you know somebody else who can? Because we have such a powerful human service organization network here in the county, more than likely you're going to get 3 more places you can go to draw upon assistance. And let's remember, at one point or another in our lives, either ourselves or our friends or family members have actually paid into those resources, have supported those resources. So it's a natural part of sometimes what we need to do to make ourselves and our families comfortable. So Carol, as we wrap things up, because we are sort of at the 15-minute mark and we really want to continue the discussion, but can you tell everybody a little bit about 211? Because I think that if you're watching today and you've experienced a little stress, this is a good time to kind of connect Alice and 211.
Sure. So our 211 community helpline in McHenry County is made available because of the funding through our United Way. So we invest money every year to make that service available. It's available 24/7. When you call 211, you're going to, someone's going to answer that phone. And that's the most important piece, is they will be there to listen. They will offer you emotional support, and then they'll ask for your zip code so that they can find out what services are available in your area. It's all drawn back to the county. So, if I'm calling on behalf of my parent who needs, adult day health programs, they're going to help me find a place where my father who had dementia could go and seek out those services. And then, it doesn't end there. They will ask, would you like a follow-up call? Is there anything else that you need today? And then they're encouraging you to call back again when you do. So the next week, it could be, I'm dealing with some mental health issues and I don't know which mental health provider I can call. And again, they'll have that information. So we really want people to take advantage of the resources in our county and beyond. So don't hesitate to make the call to the 211, and you can dial it from a smartphone or a landline. And be routed, to 211 directly. You can also go online and just type in 211 of Illinois, and it'll bring up their website, and you can type in and put in information just if you're not really comfortable. And the texting feature is coming, which it hasn't officially unveiled yet, but soon we will have the ability to text right to 211, and then they'll text you back information.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Carol, for joining us to share a little bit more about our important work around the Alice Report. We look forward to additional conversations. Thank you, everyone out there, for watching. If you have any other questions, comments, or concerns, put them down in the comments on Facebook, and we will reach out to you. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Heidi. Have a great day, everybody. Happy
Bye.
weekend.
Happy weekend.